Hello and thank you for joining me today for day 19 of Creep on June, hosted by Tracie Fox. And apologies, but I live behind a school and I think they decided to do their mowing just when I wanted to start filming. So if you can hear that in the background, then many apologies. So day 19, and I'm having to hold this book open because it won't stay open. Now, I think I've decided that from now on I'm going to only be able to put the makes on this side of it because that was an absolute nightmare to stick everything to that side. So day 19. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. It's the Raven time. Now, if you do want to hear me reciting all of the Raven, I did a final video as part of Povember last year where I did a flip through of my Povember journal whilst reading out all of the Raven. So go and check that out. As per always, I will link that playlist in the description, as well as Release the Crafting's channel as well, who hosts Povember. But in the meantime, let's see what Edgar is up to today. Now, Edgar knows he won't see Alice today, and he still has some food left over from the wake yesterday. So he goes to the kitchen to get some tea, brings it up to his room and lays himself out a few bits to eat and drinks his tea whilst pondering what to do for today. He doesn't feel the need to stay indoors as he met so many wonderful people yesterday that he thinks he may walk through the streets this afternoon, no longer wary to make small or even big talk. But this morning he wants to delve into some more of these books he's surrounded by. He finds a book called The Book of Husbandry by Anthony Fitzherbert, a book about 16th century farming, livestock management and household duties, with a focus on agricultural practices, and the book provides detailed instructions on ploughing, sowing, livestock care and fruit tree nurturing. What a funny thing to find, Edgar thinks, but reads it and he learns all about scarecrows and what the origins of those are, and what the agricultural life was like in the 16th century. He wonders what this little village was like back then as well. Sidebar, I'm not going to go into it, but Belle over at Bellaboo Creations did an episode of her Creep on June related to the origins of scarecrows, so I highly recommend you go and watch her video, and I'll try and link it in the description box of this one because it was really interesting. After Edgar finished learning all about the farming practices of yore, he had a little nap. He was dreaming of scarecrows and how Jupiter the crow was not to be scared. In fact, he would scare the scarecrows. Then Edgar hears a tapping, and whilst he's still dreaming, he dreams that Jupiter is at his chamber door, tap, tap, tapping away. Edgar then awakes and still hears the tapping and realises there's someone rapping at his door. He awakes and answers the door. Why, it's Alice's father. Edgar, old boy, I'm rattling around in that house by myself, getting out under Alice's feet as she gets everything all straight again. So I went for a walk and I found myself here, and I thought to myself, I quite fancy some ale, but I don't like to drink alone, so perhaps my new friend Edgar would like to join me. So how about it? Accompany a new widower to the pub? Edgar is delighted that Alice's father, whose name he doesn't even know, considers him a friend and says he would like that very much. The man says, "Oh, good grief, nobody's told you my name. I am Richard." "Well, it's been a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Richard," replies Edgar with a smile. They walk up to the pub, and as they arrive, it's clear that Richard, as was Mary, is extremely popular in the village. Everyone buys the two men drinks all afternoon, and Edgar is feeling quite tipsy by early evening. And then the pub doors open with a whoosh, and a hush falls over all the drinkers. A lady is standing there, looking stern, wearing what looks like rags. It's Alice, clearly in the midst of sorting out the house after the recent events. "Father, when you are quite finished leading our American visitor astray, your supper is getting cold at home." Edgar has never seen Alice look so strict before. He quite likes it. Richard says he'd better take his leave. Edgar says he should be getting back as well, whilst he's still just about sober enough to remember the way. They head off in their opposite directions, and as Edgar somewhat stumbles home, he wonders why he's never ventured into the village and this public house before. He's always kept himself to himself throughout his life, and has it ever really done him any good? All it's meant is that the very few people he does have close to him end up dying, and then he feels even more alone. Perhaps if he surrounded himself with more people, then it wouldn't have quite such an horrific impact on him when they did leave. He could have people to talk to drink with, like Richard. He's just lost his wife and he's utterly heartbroken, but he has all of these friends around him who love him and who love Alice and who loved Mary, and they remind him of the good times. They make him laugh, and the laughter brings him comfort. He arrives home, still sober enough to do some writing. He sits at his desk. Jupiter comes along. Well, Jupe, let's get started on your poem, shall we? I had a wonderful dream this morning where you were grand as a raven, rapping on my chamber door. Let's start there. And that's today's chapter of our story, and this is what I've made to go alongside it. So we've got the number 19 here, because it's number 19. Got the quote here, and here's Richard, Alice's dad. Can you even see any of this that I'm doing? Here's Richard, Alice's dad. And this is Alice looking very stern because she's been busy all day long and her dad's been getting drunk with Edgar, leading him astray. She's all dressed in rags, but still looking somewhat appealing, especially to Edgar. And then in the background here, I've done some texture paste just of some kind of brickwork to kind of signify like the pub, and some music in the background because we know that pub always has music. Some book page here, and then a picture of the crow with Once Upon a Midnight Dreary. And this picture is actually a photo I took of a crow that was sat on my fence, and I thought he looked like a very distinguished gentleman, and so I took a photo of him and cut him out, and here he is now. And then finally we have this tag, and this is just of the different types of scarecrows that Edgar was reading about in the books, and I've just put some books here, and I've put this like packaging material around it just to kind of almost look a bit like a straw. And that's the 3 different types of scarecrows. And then on the back, this is just plain for writing on with like tea stains and that sort of thing. So that was today's make. Join me again tomorrow for day 20, and perhaps we'll have a bit more of the raven being written. Who knows? In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.